Today we're coming to you from the University of Johannesburg's Kingsway campus. We are at their art gallery where they are currently setting up for the retrospective exhibition of the late great Limpopo sculptor Jackson Hlongwane. This is the Art Bulletin and my name is Tumi Sedumedi. Organizers of the Fête de la Musique, which is now popularly known as Melville Music Day, have announced this year's lineup of the gathering. The 2014 leg of the music festival will bring 7th Street to life on the 28th of June.
The idea was really to try and bring the music in the streets. Because the two previous years, all the gigs happened in the different businesses on 7th Street, which is still going to happen this year, obviously, but to try and, stick to the Fête de la Musique as we know it, maybe, you know, in France, where stages are built in the street, where music is played in it's played everywhere, in the churches, in every village, in every town, every street. There's music playing on the 21st of June. So we're trying to kind of stick to that format a bit more this year. It's a mix between international and local bands. We're going to have Le Griot from Reunion Island. They're going to be touring within the network of the Alliance Française, and obviously they will be on 7th Street on the 28th of June. We are welcoming Didier Labbé, a French-South African collaboration, and they're going to be doing a, as they say in French, an homage to Abdullah Ibrahim. We're going to be receiving Solo Hazaf. Solo Hazaf was Miriam Makeba's guitarist for 15 years, and he's actually really excited to be coming back in South Africa.
One of this country's best-known documentary filmmakers, Rehat Desai's latest work is making waves and headlines at documentary film festivals across the world. Miners Shot Down charts the 7 days leading up to the bloodshed in Marikana. It uses compelling, previously unseen security and police footage of the massacre.
Miners Shot Down uncovers disturbing new footage showing a line of police with armored vehicles in the background firing live ammunition on a crowd of miners who are moving in a huddle towards the police line. Desai's documentary challenges the police narrative that they acted in self-defense. According to the Daily Maverick, in Miners Shot Down, Desai has crafted an intimate, claustrophobic and deeply moving film using footage taken at the scene over the course of the strike and interwoven with SABC and London security videos. Marianne Tam of the Daily Maverick writes that Miners Shot Down is the film every South African should see and never forget. The documentary was part of the Encounter South African International Documentary Festival, which was held in Cape Town recently.
It's beyond poignant, hard-hitting, and a real narrative strikes at the very core. That's how Sarah Robertson of the National Arts Festival Arts Blog describes The View. The much-anticipated Market Theatre production opens on the 18th of June and is written and directed by Philip Radomir.
The story, the play, is about a young man that sits in an undisclosed location somewhere up in space, in this little room or a bubble or whatever, and he's looking down at the Earth. And the reasons why he's been put there, he's actually been imprisoned there, become clear throughout the course of the play. But what happens in the play is much like on death row, prisoners on death row have one final request. And usually people ask for a steak or a beer or whatever, but he asks for a videotape with interviews or conversations about, number one, the people who have caused him to be in this situation, things he's curious about, opinions he wants to hear about the situation he finds himself.
All sorts of different people can relate to some point in the play, because there are so many different characters, and then there's the boy and all his different reactions to those characters. There seems to be something that everyone can relate to. And so I think that whatever the message each individual needs to take away from it has usually gone through. My favorite thing about seeing the audience afterwards is to see who's been moved by what, and often we can feel as well, you know, during one of Gid's monologues or during one of my monologues, you'll just feel someone over there has really been affected by it.
It explores the notion of democracy and whether the goals and ideals that were set out 20 years ago are in fact a reality. That's the latest exhibition at the Johannesburg Art Gallery titled Over the Rainbow. It comes to an end on the 30th of this month.
It's a 20 Years of Democracy exhibition, and it's questioning whether we are over the concept of a rainbow nation or if we still believe in it. So it addresses different issues around what's happened in the past 20 years of democracy. We used works from our collection, so we have works by William Kentridge, Nicholas Flobo, Nandip Mtambo, a number of different artists. There's over like 20 different artists in this exhibition, but they all reflect different aspects of the issues that are still surrounding South Africa. I want the audience to think about what has changed and what hasn't changed, and the exhibition shows both the positives and negatives, and issues such as mining that haven't changed since 1994, and some other issues of like otherness, like being gay or lesbian or something, that have changed, and there's more of a freedom to that. So I think I want the audience to reflect on themselves and South Africa as a society.
The Blood, Sweat and Tears exhibition currently on at the ABSA Art Gallery in Johannesburg is interesting for a lot of reasons. First, it brings together all the previous winners and finalists of the ABSA L'Atelier art competition. Second, they've all used paint made from actual blood, sweat and tears of 3 prominent South African artists.
It's really the first time that we've managed to bring together many of our previous L'Atelier winners, both the ABSA L'Atelier winners, the Gerald Sokoto winners, and some of the finalists. And in the 29 years of that competition, we've never actually had an exhibition showcasing the talent that has come through this competition. So we then used those paints, provided them to the artists and said, take these paints, the blood, sweat and tears acrylic paints, and either bring them literally into your artwork or figuratively bring that theme of blood, sweat and tears. Because what we say is, to produce great art takes blood, sweat and tears. It's a journey that artists go through, and it's not something that often we forget, that an artist doesn't just sit there, an idea pops into their head and 2 minutes later they've produced a masterpiece.
Next week, the City of Johannesburg's fanatic and resident Gerald Garner will launch his latest publication titled Spaces and Places 3.0 Sent in Places. This follows on 2 publications, Spaces and Places, which came out about 4 years ago, and Spaces and Places 2.0 Joburg Places, which came out 2 years ago. Gerald Garner's Spaces and Places 3.0 Sent in Places will be launched on Wednesday, the 25th of June at St. Sons Sent Deck. The book, like the previous 2, comprises of pictures and text documenting and showing off some of the city's undiscovered or hidden spots like restaurants, hotels, museums, parks, pubs, bars, rooftops and other spaces. The book also includes a travel map. Heather Mason, an American expat who fell in love with Johannesburg, and Brian Anstead, who's highly informed about Sentin's history, also contributed to the book. Together, Garner, Anstead and Mason have written the definitive guide to Sentin in a personal and subjective style that makes for easy and highly informative reading. Published by Garner's Double G Media, the book is on sale and is currently going for the launch price of 295 rands per copy. The David Gulwani Award and Art Mentorship Program is calling for entries from young and up-and-coming artists. This competition is known to boost careers of young artists like that of Senzo Shabangu by surrounding them with some of the best practitioners in the country and providing them with space for a year at the famous Bag Factory in Newtown.
They need to send their applications, preferably by email, to the Bag Factory at info@bagfactoryart.org.za. They need to send through a motivation, why we should select them. They need to send through a portfolio of work, no more than 5 years old, please. They can only be between the ages of 18 and 30, and that criteria is very strictly adhered to. And we are especially focusing on artists who do work on paper or who are interested in doing work on paper. And the applications will close on the 17th of June. The awards allow the artists to develop a network of other professional artists around them who can really help them facilitate their careers in a very informal way, learning through exchange process. We find that that network is so useful to introducing them to gallerists, to buyers, to different ways of working, to different ways of seeing, to critiquing their work.
The late great Limpopo-born wooden sculptor Jackson Hlongwane, who was affectionately known as Jakuseni, is said to have been a spiritual leader and healer of his community. In fact, those who knew him really well say he even spoke in tongues. His retrospective exhibition, fittingly titled A New Jerusalem, opens at the UJ Art Gallery on Wednesday and ends on the 16th of July.
Jackson Hlongwane is one of South Africa's foremost sculptors. Not only was he a sculptor, he was a preacher, he was a visionary, He was a spiritual leader, and I think he was a man of many parts, and he was an extraordinary human being, an extraordinary individual. Jackson was his extraordinary ability to synchronize things that you might think of as opposites and bring them together in the sculpture. And if you look at the sculptures, your mind plays with these, so you'll have Christianity and you'd have perhaps some Tonga belief systems, and they'll all be together and they're all reconciled. But your mind will keep moving between them, reconciling and unreconciling. So it's a very dynamic engagement with the works.
And that's how we come to the end of today's edition of the Art Bulletin, coming to you from the UJ Art Gallery on their Kingsway campus in Johannesburg. To find out more about a New Jerusalem, do visit www.uj.ac.za. To keep in touch with us, you can email morninglive@sabc.co.za. You can also tweet us. Our handle is @morninglivesabc. Until next time, it's a goodbye from us.